Translation. This is a very famous verse. Devotees are quoting often this verse. Do we all understand English? Everybody? Yes? Everybody?
Yes.
Versteht jemand kein Englisch? Eine Person, ja. Haben wir Übersetzung? Übersetzung, okay. Okay, other languages, I don't think it's possible. So, Russian, Czech. So this is the verse. It's such an honor to read the Srimad-Bhagavatam, I must say. So thank you. It's actually one of the aspects of devotional service. Srila Rupa Goswami, in the nectar of devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rasamrita, the nectar of Rasa Amrita, the immortal nectar, ocean of the immortal nectar, devotion, Bhakti. He wrote how actually to perform devotional service. Because sometimes we say Bhakti, we are the Bhakti, to explain to the external world what are we doing, we say we are the Bhakti yogis. We are yogis, but we are not like a Hatha yogis. We do some Hatha yoga, I'm not so lazy, but we are Bhakti yogis. Bhakti yogis means Bhakti or devotion. So what is devotion? What is exactly devotion means? I was once many years ago, I was in north of India, a place called Rishikesh. Rishikesh, Haridwar, Rishikesh, this is the place of yoga, everybody knows. There's many yoga teachers there, and this is at the foot of Himalaya mountains. And I went to the bookstore. I went to the bookstore, and there was all kinds of amazing books. Most of them are propagating impersonalism. Books like I am that, meaning I am everything, everything is me. There's a famous hippie song. I love you so, you help me see you, know, and see you in me, and I am you, and you and me. This is the song. Meaning everything is, we are all together, we are all one person. So this is, and this one particular book I was very interested in is called Narada Bhakti Sutra. Because Narada Muni is very famous throughout the Puranas. Narada Muni is described. And we also in our Bhagavad Purana, Srimad-Bhagavatam, many instances Narada Muni appears and speaks different things and offers prayers to the Lord. And so I was wondering what is the Narada Bhakti Sutra in this translation, in the translation in the mood of impersonalism. So every word, every time there's a bhakti is translated as love. That's all, love. This is such a vague term, actually. This is such a vague term. What is love? Love. People say, I'm your love. There's so many. So Prabhupada was very much more precise. Preciseness. Prabhupada, in this way, you can, our spiritual master, grand spiritual master, and grand spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, and our Shiksha Guru for the entire International Society for Krishna Consciousness, he defined the term in much more details. This pile becomes stop being a heap. So this he wanted to explain, this Greek philosopher, that actually there's terms which are very, very difficult to define. For example, people say God or love, as a matter of fact. So what does it mean, love? We also say love of God. But in our sense, in our philosophy is much more clearly defined. Love is a very vague term. I forgot the name. So love, Prabhupada described as bhakti, Prabhupada described as devotional service. So meaning there's a devotion or love or emotional exchange, but there's also service. Somebody made these garlands, physically made them. Meaning you have to grow a garden, flowers, unless they're bought. You grow your flowers in the garden, means you plant, you weed them out, and then finally the flowers come out, and then you take the string and sit there and stand and make the garland exactly to fit in Simadev. So this is devotional service. service offered to the Lord with emotional, how to say, package all together. So this is what Prabhupada defined as bhakti. So in that sense, it's not so vague anymore. It's bhakti. So Rupa Goswami, although bhakti may mean so many things, this is another point. Devotional service may also mean so many things. So Srila Rupa Goswami, one of our acharyas, one of our teachers, has clearly, even more clarified what exactly is a devotional service. So there's no need to speculate, You can say, oh, I think, which when we were reading about Srila Prabhupada's history of ISKCON, the ISKCON just started in San Francisco in 1967, like a very new movement, and Prabhupada called it international, although everybody was like, what is international? There was some little storefront in San Francisco, in New York. What's so international about this, And society, there were like 10 people, But, so Prabhupada was, so one day, one lady, the future disciple of Prabhupada, she brought a little figurine, like this small. She said, Swamiji, is this from India? And then Prabhupada saw the figurine, he immediately offered his pranams. And he said, this is Jagannath, the Lord of the universe. And she was like, oh really? But the untold story behind it is she actually went to the store and she didn't pay for it. She just took this figurine because she thought maybe Swamiji would be interested in this, maybe it's from India. But this was actually Jagannath, a small figurine of Jagannath. And he asked her, is there another colors like yellow figurine and white? And she said yes. So she went and brought another 2 figurines. So there was Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra, and Prabhupada asked her, at that time husband, because he was known to be a carving in wood. So can you carve this deity in much bigger form? And the man said, yes, I can carve. And this deity, by the way, is even now in San Francisco Temple, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. It's the very first deity made by the Eastern devotees. So Prabhupada was staying in one apartment across the street. There was this apartment where his other devotees were staying. And Prabhupada would go daily to see the progress. How is the guys going? So Prabhupada would go with his cane, go to another apartment, and he would see he was carving. And one day Prabhupada went, and because these devotees were at that time not initiated, just brand new devotees, and Prabhupada would see the deities, and on top of the deities there was a pack of cigarettes. Because, while he was carving, he gets tired, I don't know, so smoke few. He put the pack of cigarettes around the Jagannath's head. And Prabhupada would see it, and he'd take the stick and just bang, kick the cigarette. And he said, I don't think he even said anything, just bang, kick the cigarette on Jagannath's forehead. So later on, these deities would put, no clothes, of course, just Jagannath, they painted it, and so they put it on the altar. So Prabhupada, after some time, and they just said a kirtan in front of these deities. There was no only offering, there was no pujaris, just deities were standing in Jagannath Subhadra. And one day Prabhupada said, I should teach you how to do the arati to these deities. And mind you, this is all, again, hippies. And Prabhupada took one big plate with one candle on it. And everybody would take like this. And he said they will all offer 10 minutes. Just this candle in front of Jagannath. So this was the first arati ever done. And people, what I'm getting to this, is that people would offer whatever they think they will offer. They offer to the deities, because Prabhupada said one should offer something which is very dear to you. So people will have they buy some bread, they offer bread, and he said some of them offer their clothes, they bought the jeans, they offer to the Jagannath, So he said all kinds of, some people will offer eaten, pack of some crisps, they all eat half of it, they offer half. There was no, altar like we have now, and pujari room, and pujaris, chadar and all these things. There was none of these things. So this was bhakti for them. This was bhakti because there was a devotion. There was the early stages of devotional service. But Rupa Goswami describes in more detail what actually devotional service is. Number one is accepting spiritual master. Number two is take initiation from spiritual master. So this is the two most important aspects of devotional service. To accept the guru and to take initiation. Number three is to take instructions, follow the instructions of the spiritual master. And then actually there's 64 different items. 64 different items. One of the items is accepting the garland born by the Lord. So I'm doing devotional service right now. Smelling the incense is also one. And so on and so forth. So 64 different ways how you can perform bhakti. So in this sense, Prabhupada was actually, he gave us very detailed information how to actually become a devotee, how to be a devotee. So let's go to this word for word, so I read. And the translation is as follows. So as not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men attached to the fruity results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop work. The devotees know this verse very well, meaning not to disrupt the minds of ignorant men. A learned person should not induce them to work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So he should not tell them, stop doing everything, whatever you do, and shave your head or whatever. Come to the temple, Indeed, he should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. And the early devotees in our ISKCON did just that. Again, you read the history of ISKCON, Jayananda, prabhu, famous. He would engage all kinds of people. And Jayapataka Swami, anybody knows Jayapataka Swami? He's a very famous devotee. So many disciples in Mayapur. He describes his first ever contact with Krishna consciousness. He would get a book and he would find the address. The address was in San Francisco at that time. So he would go to San Francisco to meet the devotees. So he just arrived fresh, first time, don't know anything about anything. And then there was Jayananda. He said, hey, how are you doing? And he said, okay, I'm doing okay. Do you know how to hold a nail? Yeah, who doesn't know how to hold a nail? I hold a nail. So he would hold it, and he said, just hold it. And he would, so this was his first service. This was his first devotional service in Krishna consciousness. He would be engaged in holding the nails for Jayananda because Jayananda was building a Ratha Yatra cart or cart for Lord Jagannath. So this was his first service. And he said he would engage all kinds of people. Cutting the wood, taking the garbage, he will engage everybody. So this is one way to look at this verse, not to disrupt the mind of ignorant men. But a learned person should not induce them to stop work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, he should engage them in all sorts of activities. So therefore, Prabhupada, as genius as he was, spiritual genius, instituted, built up all these temples. He opened his first temples, in the beginning, but then when he actually developed the actual proper standards for the temple, Los Angeles temple was the first real temple. And Prabhupada called it headquarters of ISKCON, Los Angeles temple. And Los Angeles temple, even now, it's a very opulent place and very high standards of worship and high standards of devotion, you can say. And Prabhupada wanted this. He said, this temple and temple community, he wanted to copy it and place it all over the world. So therefore we have temples, and always around the temples there's some devotee community. In Germany, not as much, like in America or maybe in England. In America, you have devotees usually bought buildings around the temple. Like in Los Angeles, you have half a block at least belongs to the devotees. At least, big, many buildings. And devotees are living in these buildings. And, you walk in the morning and everyone says, Hari Bol, Hari Krishna. It's okay. And a larger community also, I think they're over maybe 1,500 or 2,000, maybe more devotees. Several thousand devotees live. When I was there last time, I was walking with this one lady and she said, oh, Hari Bol Prabhu, Hari Bol, Dasharat Prabhu, Hari Bol. And they look like, anybody else. They go to work in the morning, but they're all devotees, Devotees live in the community there. They engage in all kinds of sorts. Or they work in the government, or they work in the offices, dentists, whatever. And so Prabhupada wanted this to be a sample for the whole world. To have a temple, so they built very, very nice temple, community temples. All the devotees, donated, devotees who work, that donated money to build a temple, devotees who get skills. So the temple is very beautiful, they're very nicely worshipped. So this is like you can say, best example. And this is what Prabhupada's genius was. He gave these temples, he offers these temples for us as an opportunity to do some service. So if you would go now, for example, to Regensburg, and you said, I would like to open a Hare Krishna temple. So what would you do? There's no other pillars, Indian temple. You will go and you will rent a small place, or if you have money, you can buy maybe a little storefront, and you can put, this storefront has been used for a shoe store, for example, like for the last 5 years, and now it's empty, and you rent it, and you put a sign, the Hare Krishna, Radha Krishna temple. So meaning that Prabhupada taught us how to use everything, how to use Krishna's energy in Krishna's service. So therefore he made all these wonderful temples so that we can have a service. For the festival, I don't know, you have an opportunity to, pay the fee, festival fee, or you can do some service and make some concession, half paying, half not paying, and so on and so forth. And what is the service? There's so much service. You can wash the dishes, you can cut the vegetables, all kinds of things. You can drive people back and forth to Passau, whatever. So all these things are actually made for us to practically engage in devotional service. And therefore, it is called bhakti. And bhakti means doing anything to the service of the Lord. So let's read the purport. Vedescha sarvair ahameva vedya. That is the end of all Vedic rituals. All rituals, all performance of sacrifices and everything that is put into the Vedas, including all direction for material activities, are meant for understanding Krishna, who is the ultimate goal of life. But because the conditioned soul do not know anything beyond sense gratification, they study the Vedas to that end. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification, regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. So this is Srila Prabhupada says here, that as I was, I think 4 days ago, you mentioned from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's writing, that in the material world, everything is made, everything is geared, everything is arranged around sense gratification. Sense gratification means for me to enjoy, to be comfortable. And we made it quite well. It's a messy world, but it's compared to 300 years ago or 200 years ago, it's a nice life. We live well, we eat well, you live in nice houses, you can lock the house, nobody can come in there. Police, regulations, everything. The life has become more comfortable, this is a fact. But, it says here, and even those who study the Vedas, those who actually study philosophy or even the Vedas, because their mind is not geared towards actual spiritual understanding, they are they're also including into the sense gratification. So, and what is the ultimate sense gratification? Srila Prabhupada says, is to become one with God. This is the ultimate sense gratification. Imagine, you become God. So many movies are made, someone becomes God. There's a series or whatever. This person has become God and he's walking around. But what is when they present these films or whatever, they became God. What do? They do whatever they like. I go and I say, oh, I like this clothes. Okay, then you wear these clothes. Oh, I like this girl. Okay, you know. So this is their concept of what God is. That He's the ultimate enjoyer, so therefore I want to be the ultimate enjoyer. But this is actually completely contrary to the scripture. By devotional service, we became actually the ultimate enjoyers, you know. But Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and we are His eternal servants. And this is our greatest enjoyment. So some people may not accept this, or some people may misunderstand this, but this is actually how our scriptures describe. Because the conditioned soul do not know anything beyond sense gratification. They study the Vedas even to that time. Because they cannot understand anything beyond it. But through fruitive activities and sense gratification regulated by the Vedic rituals, one is gradually elevated to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, a realized soul in Krishna consciousness should not disturb others in their activities or understanding, but they should act by showing it how the result of all the works can be dedicated to the service of Krishna. The learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. So this is another important point, that not only do we tell people, but we actually also act. When people say, oh, this is a dedicated person, so I should, see what is this all about. When they saw Prabhupada for the first time, people were very impressed. Swamiji is a serious practitioner. They were so thinking of Prabhupada so highly that one situation was that Srila Prabhupada said, I had a car when I was a businessman in Calcutta. I had a car. And they, okay, nice. But I did not have a driver's license. I didn't drive. So what did the devotees think? They thought, wow, Swamiji, by his mystic power, he would sit in a car and the car would just go by itself. Swamiji is amazing. Swamiji is like, wow. But Prabhupada later explained, no, I have a chauffeur actually. Because in India, people who have a car, they can also afford to pay someone to drive them. Even nowadays, isn't it? But the Buddhist thought of Swamiji is like, wow. Although Swamiji was wow, but not in that way. But people could see that Prabhupada is something extraordinary. Prabhupada is something very special. So also when people come first time to our temple, they think, wow, look at these saints. And we wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. 4:30, like Mangal Arati, all these people. And somebody comes first time at 4, who is singing at 4 o'clock in the morning? This is like unbelievable what we do. We sing at 4 o'clock, and then Tulsi, we worship the plant. And then we're like crazy, run around Tulsi and sing. So this is not ordinary. This is not ordinary. So when people see this, they think like, wow, I like to do this. I remember when I first came, I was thinking, wow, these amazing people. Amazing people. First of all, vegetarians. Of course, nowadays it's not so. Vegetarians even like old-fashioned. But it's something extraordinary. So when people see how we behave, how we act, how we keep the standards. We don't eat meat, we don't do all kinds of things, we don't drink alcohol, no intoxication, and people are impressed. People actually are impressed. People are impressed. We have kirtans, and meditate, and we meditate 2 hours every day. This is like, who is meditating 2 hours? So this is very impressive for people. And Prabhupada says here, instead of disturbing others, to tell them, he said, the learned Krishna conscious person may act in such a way that the ignorant person working for sense gratification may learn how to act and how to behave. So we showed him by our own example how to act and how to behave. What is our ethics? What is our relationship with the Lord, relationship with the Lord? Although the ignorant man is not disturbed in his activities, a slightly developed Krishna conscious person may directly be engaged in the service of the Lord without waiting for other Vedic formulas. For this fortunate man, there is no need to follow Vedic rituals because by direct Krishna consciousness, one can have all the results one would otherwise derive from following one's prescribed duties. So we have duties, as Prabhupada explained, the Vedas explaining. As soon as we are born, we have so many duties, we have responsibilities to the demigods. It is described in Bhagavatam, demigods, to the forefathers, to your own parents, to the society. These are all duties, because we didn't make this ourselves. We are born, our parents labored to actually bring us to this world, and then we are born and parents take care of us for so many years. When we were 16, we said, my mother, what does she know? Teenagers, so stupid. But actually, these people cared for you for 16 years, everywhere. When you have a child, child goes there, you're following. It's like a constant meditation on child, care for the child. That child is sick, is he eating? So much care. And then the demigods are supplying this air, supplying the forest, supplying rain. We're all indebted to all these people. So we have to repay these debts. Therefore, Vedic society offers this Varnashram Dharma. We can gradually repay this. And Srila Prabhupada says Varnashram Dharma actually offers people opportunity to meet the devotees. Because we've seen in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, or Srila Prabhupada explained, when Shukadeva Goswami would go wander around, he was going direction Shrimanayana Sharanya, he would actually stop at the house of householders. And he would stop how long? To milk a cow. So how long it takes to milk a cow? 30 minutes. Depends how many cows you have, of course. Nowadays with machinery, but if you have 2 cows, 1 cow, this takes 15 minutes if you're expert. So you wait there, and usually I saw in India, where the sadhus in Vrindavan, they come to do the Madhukari in front of the house. They have kartals and they chant, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They don't speak, they don't say, can you give me food? The householders, they know what do you want. So they come in front of the house, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, kartals, Krishna, Krishna, Hare, and they see the woman look to her, okay. They probably know the sadhu already for the last 20 years he's coming. So she comes, goes inside, brings 2 chapatis, bring it to his uttariya, he puts it in there, and then he sings, Hare Krishna. It doesn't say, thank you very much, you're a wonderful family, Hare Krishna, because it is actually a blessing for the family to offer these 2 chapatis to the holy man. And if this holy person even speaks the philosophy, they even better. We see in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, when Narada Muni was young, during the Chaturmasya, he did the 4 Bhakti Vedantas, the great devotees, came to his mother's house, and they actually spent 3-4 months there, and they spoke the philosophy. This is like the greatest blessing. So this is what Varnashram Dharma does. Actually, while you're performing your duties, you actually have an opportunity to meet the pure devotees, which actually greatly benefit you. Because I was just thinking, we had this festival. Why do we have these festivals? We have a festival as an opportunity to meet the great devotees. Even if it's like one day, even if it's one lecture, even if it's one, we were just talking how actually I feel really benefited by coming here, because so many nice devotees, and I've got so much inspiration just by being here. Even if you don't speak to them, just by seeing a person, or or somebody tells you something, don't spill this. So it's a great opportunity to actually make progress in Krishna consciousness. And then some of the people who are ready to go directly to Krishna, we engage them immediately. We tell them, this is, just give up everything and shave your head and join the temple. To some people, we don't say it. Some people will say maybe you better live your life and come to the temple, or be connected to the temple somehow or other, or come once a month or a festival. But to some people, we just said, no, you should do it right now. This is all, illusion, great illusion. Join the Hare Krishna movement right now. We did this, in Germany is a little more, people are, more logical. You have to explain them logically, why should they join. In America, it was very much more easier, You just said, come on, man, just give it up. I said, okay. And we had a bus, and we traveled with the bus, we transferred the bus into a temple, and we just pick up the people from the street. Just come with us. It's okay. Imagine, you just live, you're on the street, you just leave everything, You just join the Hare Krishna in the bus. But because some of this was very attractive, we just, we had a team developed, like bus goes and bus stops, usually in the city center, especially the smaller towns are much better than bigger at that time. So you open the bus and, first 2-3 devotees come in the backpacks, like commander, this commanders jumping out of an airplane. So they come in the backpack, first the books, first 2-3. Then another 2-3 devotees come, one with harmonium. And once we were in one place, and one devotee called me at 10 o'clock in the evening. He said, Sachi, there's one really nice guy. He's a student here in the university, but I need more strength. I somehow cannot convince him. Can you come here, please? And it was like a 4 hours drive, I said, it's 10 o'clock in the night, He said, no, you need to convince him right now. And he was a student here in an rented apartment, and study in America costly, lots of money. $35,000 a year, $35,000 a year, or something, very expensive. So I sat in the car and we drove 4 hours. I arrived at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and he was still awake. And I said, hey man, you should give it up, give up this, just travel with us for some time. You can return back to study, at least 1 year with us. And he actually went and gave up the apartment and gave up the study. And he joined our bus. I was young, a little more enthusiastic at that time. I don't think I'll do this nowadays. I told us, he left everything, shaved his head, Hare Krishna, dhoti. So there are people, and then he traveled for some time, actually. And I heard later on, he went to some other place, and he got initiation even. So, what's the harm in reality? But some people are like this, they're ready to do it right now, jump into the fire, jump into the cold river. I don't know if you have traveled, and we park sometimes in the forest, and there's a very, very cold forest river, and then you have to take a shower in the morning, at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, and you just touch the water, like, not painfully. You put your hand and your hand is red from this part, red. So you think like, oh my God, who's going to take a shower? I remember once in New Mexico, there was such a cold river, this unbelievable mountain river. And this one devotee said, no, this is just Maya. So just like in book distribution, when you're mental, you stand on the street, and there's so many people, you're mental to approach people. He said, just approach, first person comes. Excuse me, sir. So he did like this. Excuse me, sir, and jump into this freezing cold river. We were like, wow, he jumped, so we should jump. So we also jumped. So this is how some people do with Krishna consciousness. They just jumped into a very cold river. They said, I don't care. I don't care. I joined, and I don't care what will happen. But just one last story. When I got first initiation, I was in Mayapur. So many devotees got initiated, and I was, ecstatic, Mayapur, and all these wonderful devotees, and then I had to go to the bathroom. At that time, there was a long building. Is it still a long building there? Still a long building. So I went to the long building, to the bathroom, and I, washed my hands, and I looked myself in the mirror with this black thing, from the fire, and you get initiated, the charcoal, and I was standing and looking, and I said, what have you done? Only then dawned on me, what have you done? You promised that the rest of your life, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling, what have you done? But it was too late, it was already too late. I thought, well, I'm in Mayapur, what can I do now? Might as well do it the rest of my life, not a problem. So sometimes it's like this, we have doubts later on, or so. But every time we should just think, excuse me, sir, and just jump into the cold water. It's worth it. It's really worth it. We see these senior devotees, very advanced devotees are not going to do it, Prabhu. How many? I'm sure, 1,000 times he was thinking, standing there on the street and he would be holding his books and think, what am I doing here? Every book is similar, every preacher went through the same. You think, what am I doing? What is this? Book selling or trying to convince somebody to do something. But then we just, excuse me, cold water, next. Because doubts are normal, doubts are part of the living material world. Even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says. But you should destroy these demons, Bhagavad Gita says, in the form of doubts. This is demoniac things. Doubts in Krishna, doubts that Krishna exists. So we study Krishna consciousness, we study the books of Prabhupada, we study the philosophy, and at the same time we do devotional service and just go on to this forest, jungle of the material existence. Because we know at the end, there are some people who made it. We recently passing on several devotees who actually dedicated their whole life, very successful in Vrindavan. They said, Hare Krishna last. They gave us the examples how to actually, it is possible to make it, to go to the spiritual world in this life. So, the message is very positive. So we can just choose which path do we want to have, the slow path, or the fast path, or the middle fast path. So the recommendation is just do it now. Jump into the cold water, do it, go back to Godhead, and then when you're up there, then you say, hey, Jasachi, you're still at this problem. Okay, I'll help you from here. So, I thank you very much for your attention. So if you maybe give you 10 seconds if you want to ask something or question or keep. Yes, what?
You were just telling stories about Mayapur, so I thought.
Oh, sorry?
You were telling stories of Mayapur, so it just came to me. Why is that called Mayapur? Because it has Maya in the name, no?
I actually don't know exactly the details. I actually just recently read something, but I can't remember. Anybody else? Amanda?
Yoga Maya.
Maybe. I don't know. I actually don't know. I can take a look, or we can take a look. Pur means city.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Mayapur. Yeah,
Also means mercy.
I don't know. I don't know.
I heard it also means mercy.
Yes, I heard it too.
But I could not quote any scriptures.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I can take a look. Anything else? Yes. Theodore.
You talked about enthusiasm.
Yes.
I'm not that long in Krishna consciousness.
You are what?
I'm not that long in Krishna consciousness. And living outside the temple, I need, on bad days, I need at least 30 minutes of kirtan to really be enthusiastic to do devotional service.
Yes.
So when you're now saying that you become less and less enthusiastic, I'm wondering how will it be for me, and do you have any advice so that I can maintain some enthusiasm?
Yeah, you maintain enthusiasm in anything by knowing why are you doing this. And again, by associating with devotees. So nowadays, ISKCON has become a little different because there's so many people live outside, not in temple. Most of the people live not in temple, and they have not got the temple training. Temple training is something. Temple training is something actually you can say amazing, because you learn things which you cannot really learn, by living in the house. Because some temple is, as Prabhu was giving lecture today, said sometimes there's a friction between the devotees. Somebody's turning the light at night, and then you have to go to the Bhakta program and so on and so forth. So you become, as you call it, trained. But if you don't have this opportunity to be trained on this, then you can be trained through some other means, through online sources and so on. Radha Krishna is an expert in this. Online sources you can be trained, or you can be trained by reading Prabhupada's books, by listening lectures, by kirtans. How many times, we were in summer, there's no temple, we just do Mayapur TV. Click. There's always some kirtan going, even in either Mayapur depends on the time zone, or England, or Europe, or South America. There's always some Sankirtan going on. LA morning program. You can look any temple. Just put Los Angeles Mangalarti, you know, and it will come out. And you know, sometimes you just play it loud and dance with yourself. And there's no neighbors to see. But Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, those who read this great conversation worship me with their intelligence. So we worship Krishna with our intelligence. Means our intelligence is getting purified by reading Bhagavad Gita. So read Bhagavad Gita. Read Bhagavad Gita. And also it is recommended to have a guru. Number one of aspects of devotional service is accept a spiritual master. So now just to make this clearer, spiritual master, you know, there's two types, or three types of spiritual master. One is Diksha Guru, who gives you initiation. But another one is Shiksha Guru. Shiksha Guru is one who gives you instructions. So, you know, sometimes, currently in ISKCON it's not easy to have Diksha Guru, or association of Diksha Gurus, because they are old and they don't travel much now anymore. And so, where do you find a guru? But we have so many Shiksha Gurus, so many qualified devotees. You see the senior devotees over here. Just ask somebody, whoever knows better than you, he can be your Shiksha Guru. Would you like to help me with this and this and that? And the devotee said, okay, or no, I don't have time. Then you find another one. Find a person whom you like, who could actually guide you in your spiritual life. Then you can ask questions, they can clear your doubts and so on and so forth. This is nowadays called a mentor. It's actually Shiksha Guru. So if you have a mentor, it's much better, it's easier. Yes? The third type of a guru is called Vartmana Pradarshaka Guru. This is the guru who introduces you to Krishna consciousness, who brings you to Krishna. Like first time. You know, sometimes, you know, some friend may say, like in Prabhupada's case, his friend brought him to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So this was his Vartmana Pradarshaka Guru.
But it's not necessary.
Sorry?
It's not necessary.
No, but it's possible, you know. Like you meet a Sankirtan devotee on the street, and then he meets you again, and he preaches to you, and he brings you to the temple, and you speak to you, he calls you in your home, so this is your Vartmana Pradarshaka Guru. You know, if you read Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada's also your Vartmana Pradarshaka Guru. Yes, Guru.
When you were speaking about the 64 aspects, or you start speaking about it,
yes.
I was just wondering, because we are not like naturally like in contact with that when we grow up and this kind of things, and it might be when we only read it, for example, the Nectar of Devotion on Rupa Goswami, that can get mechanical. Has it get mechanical in your case when you make devotional service, or how can you have like a real like connection and
relationship?
A relationship to these things, you know, that you feel this is not only like think mentally about it.
Yes, this is a very good question, because this is actually the heart of what Rupa Goswami is writing about devotional service. There are two types of devotional service roughly divided. One is the mechanical devotional service, and one is the spontaneous. Spontaneous is this what you describe from your heart, and you feel. So this is not like this mechanical, you know, this is sometimes intertwined or so. But in the beginning we do mechanical things, because you have to learn things. And your body has to learn things. You know, you don't touch this, or don't eat this, or like for example, don't turn the back to the deities, or don't touch your feet while sitting in front of the deities, or don't eat in front of the deities. We would not know this. But we maybe, no, I shouldn't, you know, like this. You think something that, I shouldn't do it, because Nectar Devotion said I shouldn't do it.
So it's actually remolding the mind.
Yes, it's called training. We train ourselves how to be spontaneous. Just like any boxing, you know, I'm not an expert in boxing, but if you want to be a boxer, you have to have in your dream, you have to know the series of punches. You cannot just now say, okay, I want to be a boxer. Because this said you have to train so many times, so many hundreds and hundreds of times. So when you go to the match, you just automatically, you know, So this is exactly what it is. We train ourselves hundreds of times. Don't touch it, don't touch your mouth in front of this. Don't this, don't that, do this, do that, you know. Chant, worship Tulsi. And then it will be totally spontaneous for us. Totally. Then after some years or whatever, it's just, this is your, as we call it, second nature, but that's your real nature. And then you will be, naturally, you sit in your room at 3 o'clock in the morning, you think like, oh my God, I cannot wait for 30 to see the Lord. Nobody needs to tell you, but in the beginning you have to tell yourself, 4 o'clock, you're like, wanderer, Alice in Wonderland, 4 o'clock, where am I? Which country I am in right now, 4 o'clock so early. Isn't it? Who is naturally waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Nobody. But we practice, and then it becomes like a normal thing, Hare Krishna. You cannot not chant your rounds, because this is your nature, to chant your rounds. For example, I read one verse, interesting verse in the Srimad-Bhagavatam. It says, whenever you sneeze, shoo, and whenever you slip, you should say Hare Krishna. Krishna's name. This is the 11th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. So this is the instruction, So therefore, when we sneeze, instead of saying Gute Besserung or what is it? Gesundheit. What's Gesundheit? We said Hare Krishna. Or when he's just about to slip, we said, oh Jesus, whatever. We said Hare Krishna. Or Krishna. I usually say Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's me. But it's just, Krishna, Chaitanya. So naturally, when you go and you go walk with your parents and you slip and you just say, oh, Hare Krishna. They're like, what? I was, just one last story for the day. When I first time visited my parents, after so many years, I like to eat something very nice, so I went to the forest and I cut a brennesel. Which one brennesel is?
Nettles.
Nettles, stingy nettles. You know nettles? Brennesel? So I really like to eat the soup of brennesel. So I made a nice soup of brennesel with little, sarazan and all these things, nice. And then I served my parents, and I offered it, and served my parents, and served myself, and we ate a little bread, and everything was nice. So then I finished my plate, and I wanted to use more. So I went there to the sink, and I washed my hands, because this is what the Buddhists do. We don't touch. Eating your plate, you don't touch Krishna's pot. You wash your hands. And my mother said, what are you doing? I said, what am I doing? She said, why did you wash your hands? I said, you do not understand. Because it was natural for me. I didn't think about this, because this is the Buddhists. We don't touch anything. You don't touch your beat. After eating, you touch your beat. But it's so ingrained in me that I could not. Although this is my mother's pot, it's not exactly sushi, Although I can't clean it with tea, like whatever. But the point is that it's so ingrained in you that you don't even think anymore. I ate, so I need to wash my hands to touch the pot. Most normal. All right. Anything else, or should we call it a day? It's already 12 after 8. So thank you very much for your attention. Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya, Srila Bhagavad Gita ki Jaya,